Hi everybody, Tracy here from Temperance Tarot, and I have in my hot little hands the mass print, mass market edition of the Bonefire Tarot, which just came today on a Sunday, a couple of days before I was expecting it, even though technically I was expecting it on November the 28th. But this is going to be just a first impressions and walkthrough of this deck. This deck was originally published by the artist, Gabby Angus West, as a self-published deck, and then it was picked up by Schiffer, and this is the Schiffer edition. And let's face it, the one thing that Schiffer does really well is packaging. So let's have a look. I had it in a bigger box. It came from Amazon, but I had some other stuff in that box, so you didn't get to watch me open the box. Go. Comes in a really sturdy box with the little ribbon that Schiffer likes to do. Pull on the ribbon and you've got the thingies to keep it open. There on the inside you can see it says Bonefire Tarot. Bonefire Tarot. And here is the book. In the book we have full color illustrations. Let's look at the book first. We have full color illustrations. For my tiny gang of outsiders, may your cloaks always hang together. We have a preface, the majors, the minors, reading Chapter 4, Cherry-Flavored Truth Bombs. That sounds interesting. There's a glossary of Bonefire symbols. Oh, I like that. I like it when they use symbols that are specific if they tell you what they mean. Because if I'm not part of that culture, I am likely not to understand it. One little pet peeve here, this writing is tiny. And while, yes, that makes you able to cram a lot of words into a book that is approximately 180 pages long, 183 pages long, some of us are getting older and have trouble reading small words, and probably what I will have to do is actually take off my glasses and stick this book right up under my nose to be able to read it. She talks about tattoo in the tarot. Talks about her artistic process, it looks like. I like this book. It's easy to open. Some spines are just too tough, and you can't read a book if you can't get it open. Majors, and then we move on to cards. A note about reversals. She doesn't read them. Reverse away, if you will. She just finds that card imagery is hard to read upside down and is less intuitive. So it doesn't look like we have reverse meanings. But from what I understand, it's pretty much follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So if you understand reversals there, you can do them here too. Okay, cards, 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 cups, coins. I like coins. And then part 3, reading the tarot. I think I'm going to like her writing style. See, we have some spreads. We have a 1-card wonder, Beltane 3-card spread, Bonefire 8-card enlightener. I love the illustrations of her spreads. That's great. So just 3 spreads. And then you have the cherry-flavored truth bombs, which I'm not going to try to read here, but that's an intriguing name for a chapter. And then it talks about the glossary of symbols. So if you see acorns, it's from little acorns, big oaks grow. If you see a chessboard, empire, culture, society. Flags are celebration, ownership, allegiance. Gems are riches. Keys, home, contracts, the answer. So that's great. That's going to be really helpful for a beginner or for people who don't necessarily know the cultural meaning of some symbols. Lemon. That's just fascinating. So very nice book. Soft bound. Looks like it feels really nice. It's kind of a matte finish. Pages are very white. Nice book overall. Now let's have a look at the cards. We have our little box with our 2 stacks of cards, which is a typical shifter sort of way to do it. Just one big hole, but you put the cards in 2 pieces. Let's move that away, and they're just wrapped in one little piece of plastic so you can slide them right off. Size-wise, they're very good. They're wider, but they're not as tall as some of the decks that I would consider big decks. So that's a really nice size. And there's the backs. The cardstock is really good. It's laminated, but it's not sticky. And it seems like it's going to bend, but we'll give it a shuffle when we get to the end and see if it's actually going to shuffle well. So let's have a quick look through the cards. There's the Fool, the Magician, High Priestess, and we have, interestingly enough, we have the name of the card in the artwork itself, but you also have it at the bottom. And I wonder if that's something that Schiffer did. Because I know I've seen at least images of her original deck. I'm not so certain that she had these titles at the bottom, but she may have, I'm not sure. Does seem to be pretty traditional, albeit with a lot more symbolism, I think, than a standard Rider-Waite Smith. Wedding rings. Chariot. Strength is 8. The Hermit. That's interesting. His eyes aren't open. Yeah, I'm going to have to look long and hard at these cards to see everything that's in them. Fortune. Interesting. Just has 13, not the word death. That is a great death card. I wonder how soon after 9/11 she created these cards, because that does definitely have a Twin Towers sort of look to it. Temperance. I always take a long look at the Temperance card. Interesting. Okay. The Devil. Oh, she loves him. She does. I love you. I can't leave you. I know you'll turn around. Tower. Star. We were talking on the Facebook group recently about nudity in cards, and I came out as one of the people who I don't think it's necessary, and I don't particularly... I tend to go for cards where people are clothed, and I really like what she's done here because she has suggested nudity without actually showing explicit nudity, and I think that is probably my favorite way to go. Well, I love that Sun card. I do love Sun cards. That Judgment card is very interesting. I'm gonna have to read about that one. And then the World. Then we move into the Wands. These are just stunning. And it seems that we're using pine cones for wands. If you've ever watched a pine cone burn, they burn very quickly, but it's just, they make the most beautiful flames. It's a lot of detail, so I know you're not going to get to see everything that's in these cards in this quick walkthrough. Oh, it's got a cut. Playing cards. Again, I've seen several cards that have playing cards in them. I have to look up that symbol and see what it means. Apples, apples everywhere. He's great. Yeah, I've seen this card a lot. Ace of Swords. the boat, and that's interesting. Five of Swords. It's a baby. Alright, now we're moving on to the cups. Oh wow, that's a powerful Five of Cups, which would be the Five of Hearts corresponding in a deck of playing cards, so maybe that's what the playing cards are about. I love that Seven of Cups. They're all hot air balloons, sort of in the guy's head. Love that. That's really cool, and it has sort of the traditional depiction of the Nine of Cups in the back, but then it has a number of other symbols up here in the front. Just need the people to come out of the house and enjoy their picnic. Flying fish. His head's in the clouds, literally. Yeah, very good, very good. And finally the coins. Carrots. Okay. Six of coins. You can see it says it there. I like that Nine of Coins. That's very attractive. 10 of Coins. I wonder if the fact that those flowers are poppies means something. She's making lemonade. Boy, you can't even see his face. Love the tortoise. Queen of Coins. Oh, isn't he a just Father Christmassy kind of looking guy? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, really lovely cards. I like those. I think I'll be able to use those. The cardstock, I think this is going to be great because it does bend, but it's not flimsy at all. And let's give it a shuffle. I do riffle shuffle. A little bit stiff, but I think that they will shuffle beautifully. I have a little bit of arthritis in my left hand, so sometimes the riffle shuffling doesn't work too well. But I do have large hands, so those of you with small hands might not be able to riffle shuffle these. But I have large hands, and this was the way I was taught to shuffle. I grew up playing penny ante poker with my family, so I shuffled from a very young age. Yeah, that's what the overhand shuffle will be a little bit more difficult because of the lamination, but it'll work. Let's pull a card and see what the book says. See how the book's written and what it sounds like. So here's our card for us for today. The Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands. Energy generated from a time of retreat. Creative blocks blasted to smithereens. Bringing a project to conclusion. Expending great energy. Bonefire says, The Bonefire Nine of Wands is a very different chap from the Rider-Waite-Smith. This man comes charging from a cave that blazes behind him. The wands inside are torches, which have illuminated his path through the darkness and out into the light. The man is older, yet still strong. He has vanquished his foes. Here I depicted the Bonefire as a heap of burning human bones. He has his victory, but in a contrast to the Six of Wands, where the huntsman is at peace and has awakened his consciousness, this man has a wound across his forehead where his third eye might be. What he has seen in the cave we cannot know, but it has taken its toll, and he is not yet at peace with it. This man will be scarred for life. The ugly gash can taint his every further action, or the healing can leave him enlightened by the experience. Excuse me. But the wound is fresh and deep. He is out in the light now, but still in movement, not yet at rest. This Nine of Wands represents an escape. You have been confined by an idea or a way of doing something, and you have stood your ground. You put up with it as long as you could, but you have been forced to bust out and break free. The fiery wands bring you the energy and the will to make this really happen. Wow. I really like that. Okay, there's more. As I said, he is not a young man, and the card can indicate the sudden onset of a midlife episode where you throw in the job, the lover, the house, even the family, and surge across the threshold of a new existence. Much will be left in your wake. You will inflict hurt on others and yourself. At the time, it will appear that this is unavoidable. You are about to choose yourself over others. The caveman hid deep in his cave. In harnessing the power of fire, he was able to step out with seeing eyes and heat to defend himself against the terrors of the night. Have the courage of your convictions and make the changes, but do not expect that you can be unaffected psychologically or materially. Damage will be sustained. Use what you have learned to make a better fist of it this time, and beware of taking refuge in strange dark caves that appear to offer safety and warmth. They may already be occupied or become prisons from which you will have to fight for your freedom. In closing, I will say the Nine of Wands might warn us that no act that leaves others harmed can be with no regrets. So be careful not to wound or destroy others on your route to the top, for you are creating enemies, not a safety net to catch you when you eventually need to fall. Symbols: Bonefire, Cave, Wound. Yep. I think it was a little hard to read simply because of the small print, that I had a hard time figuring out exactly which line I was on. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I just wish the words were a little bit bigger. But overall, I'm loving this. I think I'm going to enjoy using it. And you might see it showing up on Instagram pretty soon. Check below for links to my blog and to my Instagram feed. And everybody have a great day.